All right, welcome guys to our Team Bad Decisions Hobby Time show this Saturday, uh, May 30th, and we're here today with some good friends, Ryan and Eric, both of Team Bad Decisions, as well as a special guest from the Indy 40K group, Eddie, who is joining us to tell us all about his stuff there. So we want to welcome everybody to another Hobby Time. We'll go ahead and start off with just a quick little introduction on everybody. I think everybody but Eddie's done at least one Hobby Time, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. And then, so just real quick, kind of a quick rundown on how your hobby progress is going, and then we're going to go into kind of Eddie's stuff here, and we'll give some back and forth. All of us don't know a ton about his CAG and MAG Indy 40K groups, and so we'd love to learn more. But let's start off with Ryan. What do you got going on? Saw you doing at least some painting or something over there earlier.
Yeah, for the first time in probably 6 months, I picked up a paintbrush today. So, working on doing some edge highlighting on some Eldar models, and someday this army will get done. Just got to get there.
Right. Cool. Cool. All right. And Eric.
Lately I've been actually building a modular Dungeons and Dragons set for a buddy, using entirely that pink insulation foam. Discovered the foam cutter, and that thing is amazing. So just building
The heated one?
stuff. Yeah, the heated foam cutter with like
Yeah.
it's like a table saw or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's
great.
pretty incredible. You just
Yeah,
heat them up and it just melts that stuff right
yeah,
there.
it's just like whoop, slips on through building that. So pretty much.
Cool. All right. And then I just recently got a Kickstarter, so I am going into a 150-hour 3D print here for the one that Eric actually got with me there. I just did all the ink and models on the splicer, so we're gonna get all the printers up and running here, and between all of them, it'll be something like 300 hours of printing. So
Man,
we'll see how it
is
goes.
that with the dinosaurs or is that just
No,
the terrain?
that's just the train. That's not even all the train. That's just like one building portion of the terrain. It's gonna be a lot, and I'm sure there's gonna be some printing failures, and it's gonna
Oh
be
yeah.
rough. But hey, that's what it's all about, right? And then Eddie, what have you been doing? Anything with 40K or hobby stuff recently?
So recently, me and a couple of the other officers for Indy 40K, we've been discussing what we're going to do local for our community, like what events we're going to run. Because we have a lot of game shops here in Indianapolis, and they help us out a lot when we run events, especially for like mags, and we want to really give back to them. So we've been working with them on getting them back up and going and running events to help get the business going.
Awesome.
Um, Hobby wise, I've actually been redoing my Orc Boys. They've been needing a an update, so I'm in the process of not only rebasing my Orc Boys, but I painted my orcs like back when I first started, which was about 8 years ago now. And my paint technique has come a long way, so I'm like, yeah, it's time to sit down and just redo the whole thing and start over.
Yeah, I feel you there. A lot of my stuff is still from when I was 13 in third edition, and I first did those awesome paint jobs. So I feel you. All
Oh
right. Well,
man.
why don't you tell us first of all? Start off with what your groups or group that you want to talk about is, so we all have a kind of a rundown. I know it's a 40K group, obviously, but what is Mag's group? Okay. And you said you're an officer of one, and you're the head honcho of the other one, correct?
Yeah, so the easiest way to explain it is so we have a bunch of like local groups. So like I am the president of Indy 40K. I have a couple guys that are officers under me that help manage events and run stuff here and around in the greater Indianapolis area. And then I have a counterpart that runs Cincinnati Arsenal Gaming, also called CAG. His name's Sean. He's in Cincinnati, Ohio, and he does basically the same thing. We share information and whatnot. We've got another partner up in Toledo Jason, who runs Glass City up there, and we kind of all work together, and that's actually how we actually came about of forming the more like a those are like local groups, but then we have a regional group that we call MAGS, which MAG stands for the Mid American Gaming Series, and it's kind of a cooperation effort between all of us to run like a regional circuit. Because what we found out a couple years ago was we were actually attending each other's events. You know, I mean, I was going to Sean's, Sean was coming to mine. We were both going up to Jason's. We had a group down in Kentucky that we were going down to play with. And so we're like, wait a minute, if we're all already going to each other's events, why don't we make it like a circuit? So that's what we've been spending the last 3 years doing now, is building a regional tournament circuit.
And so
Cool.
do you guys had like the full-fledged like ranking system and everything built in?
Yeah, so that's actually one of my core responsibilities is I am responsible for the ranking, and so what we decided right now is kind of the best measure to kind of entice players the most to come and be part of the circuit is we actually just use straight ITC points. You know, what points you earn ITC based at our events, those are the same points that we use. We didn't want to like develop our own point system because then it gets convoluted. So we're just like, you know what, we're just gonna use these. So if you come to one of the MAGS events, we just use your ITC score from it.
Okay.
So do you guys do like all the ITC event stuff with that, like all of your missions and things like that? Are those ITC as well, or do you kind of do your own? I know Jason. I've been to Glass City a couple times, and I know he does kind of his own thing.
Yeah, so we wanted MAGS to be kind of as flexible as possible, and also we wanted to keep it open for like expansion to add other events to our series. So we decided that it's actually up to each individual TO. When they're part of MAGS, they get to decide what events they want to run or what missions they want to use, and we leave it to their discretion. The only thing that we ask is that they do use the ITC scoring at the end, so that way everybody's scores are identical.
Okay.
So everybody is reporting to ITC, or you guys just use the scoring?
No, they're still being reported to ITC as well.
Okay.
So you can but you can play solely in MAGS and still obtain an ITC ranking.
Yep.
Okay, so you're just like a subsect of ITC essentially.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And then what? So when you do like, I assume you have seasons or whatever.
Yeah, so we have seasons. So our seasons usually run from the beginning of the year or the beginning of the calendar year to August. And the reason for that is because we also run the Warhammer 40K event at Gen Con every year. And so Gen Con is kind of the crown jewel finals for MAGS. Because we're running the event there, if you win a MAGS event like Glass City or CAG Bash, or here it's I think it's the Circle City GT, you get a free 4-day badge to come to Gen Con, hang out with us, and also a voucher to come play in the finals.
Cool. I guess I'm gonna have to win next year.
No kidding.
That's cool. So, and then you said that the tournament organizers, because you guys have independent guys that will organize things like Glass City and stuff like that, and they're free to use whatever rules they want. Do they normally adhere to the ITC list of rules that ITC has specifically?
Typically, yes. I know Jason likes to run his own thing, but it's usually because he works with some of the other regional TOs, and they're usually bench testing something. And so Glass City kind of turns into a test bed for different style missions and whatnot. And he also likes to kind of use a variety of like ITC and Nova and Adepticon, kind of mix them together to kind of get a good spread. Here in Indy, we mainly just use ITC missions, and then I know over in Cincinnati they're using ITC only.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Glass City always has like this weird stuff. Jason likes to kind of go off the rails a little bit with all of his different things, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but he definitely has his own unique takes on a lot of stuff that he feels, hopefully improve stuff or whatever. When I was there this year, they had some very interesting missions that really made you change your game, just because it was quite off the wall, like things that you just didn't expect. So I'd have to pull out the actual.
I was gonna say, what do you know some of the stuff? Because sometimes the fun missions are.
I didn't play this year because I was actually doing the live streaming from Glass City, but I know he was using like a modified Maelstrom mission that was in there, which actually I thought was kind of cool. It was where you basically had a set of cards. You went through your deck and you pulled out a bunch of them, and those were all of your secondaries that you could score. But you could only score them once.
Huh, okay. That's interesting.
Yes, like we at one point we pulled like, I think we used one. You used one deck. You removed the special cards from it, so the first 6 or whatever, and then like you pulled out 15 cards, I think is what it was, or 18 cards or something like that, and then they all sat on the table and you could score any of them, but you could only score like 3 per round per player or something like that. So you were trying to figure out, okay, is he going to go for this one and I'm going to go for that one. It was a little bit of a disaster at first because you're like, oh cool, I got to read 18 cards worth of stuff right now to figure out what I'm shooting for. So it was a little bit painful there, and then you're also trying to figure out, okay, this one's a die 3 points, this one's 2 points, etc. So how do you focus on those ones more? But once you got past the initial shock of like having to figure out 18 different objectives at once, it was easier because you knew everything that's going to happen through the game. So it was a little bit of both, like good and bad with that. I didn't mind it. It was definitely interesting.
Cool. I mean, it sounds like a fun game type to me. I assume nobody picked the take all 6 objectives on the table or whatever one ever.
Domination.
I think you got to remove a couple of them, and that was one of the ones or something like that, because yeah, everybody hates that one.
I don't know. I think we all know that one orc player that, hey, I can do that.
Yeah.
Right? Yes. Or the dude with 30 blood letters dropping down. Oh yeah.
Until you have it, and then the other player realizes it and goes, okay, I'm just gonna send this one objective, and you screw you. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah, basically. So what? Okay, so obviously we're in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic. What have you guys done in terms of, I guess, precautions? What are you guys doing in case of that?
So originally we were just holding out. We managed to get two events in this season. Mm-hmm. We had Glass City in January, and then in March, like the very beginning of March, we had CAG Bash over in Cincinnati, and so we got those 2 in, and then of course everything started shutting down, and we were like, okay, well, we're having to follow CDC guidelines, so we're just going to sit in a holding pattern. And then a couple, was it last week before? I think it was the week before. Gen Con made the decision to cancel this year's Gen Con. So
last week.
So we decided kind of as a best course measure is that this season is actually just on hold. We're just going to roll. We're going to roll the 2 events from this season into next. So the scores are going to carry over the guys that won the two events already that got Gen Con badges. They're going to get them again for next year, hopefully. We'll see what happens. I mean, I can't really say because even no. So
that's pretty cool though.
We decided that was probably the best thing to do because now my concern is I'm now looking at my local community and I'm like, okay, we've got a handful of stores. a bunch of them support us throughout the year, not just with local events, but also with mags. And I've got to breathe life back into them because I can't afford to lose them.
Yeah. Do you guys work with because you said you're primarily in Indiana, but then surrounding states as well? Do you work with Miniature Market based out of St. Louis?
Not right now.
Okay.
I know we've done a little bit of business with them, but I think it's mainly been like procuring terrain.
Got it.
Is all that we've done. We do business with the guy up in Toledo at the Toledo Game Room, who's also the Bits guy. We do business with him pretty frequently.
That's cool. Well, being someone that lives 5 minutes from Miniature Market, get on that.
Okay.
Like to have some home tournaments where I don't have to drive 4 hours. So, but no, that's good. So if you're essentially combining the two seasons because it's only 2 extra games, how does that work for ITC points? Because is that what ITC was doing as well?
I don't believe so. I believe that the plan for ITC is the next LVO in February will be the end of the season. They're going to do something with the scores, and then I think they said that the cash prize is actually just going to be donated to a charity of whoever wins. It's going to be their choice. So
they don't want another debacle like the last, what was that, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I don't know what it was.
But
sounds juicy.
I have a policy, and the guys all know it, that we don't deal with money.
Okay.
Just because the one time that we did deal with money, I had the Indiana Gambling Commission like up my tailpipe about it. And I'm not doing this, guys. I'm never doing this again.
Yeah.
Just
Indiana's
about
crazy
prizes.
with gambling.
Almost everybody in the hobby is cool with getting, a freaking box set or whatever as their prizes anyway, or a couple. If you want to give away some huge prize, give them $1,000 worth of freaking models. They'll be happy, and then they'll.
Oh,
sell
yeah.
them. And then if they want the money, they'll sell them. I mean, it's whatever.
Yeah, 100%.
We what was it? Last year at Gen Con, I think we gave away about $5,000 worth of prize support.
Yeah.
And most of it was all donations from the local stores that all do that all like host our events or host our primers. We hit them up. We're like, we don't need a whole lot from you, just something's better than nothing. And they're like, oh yeah, we'll either donate this or we'll sell it to you at cost. And it greatly helps out with getting price support in for events.
They take something off the shelf, blow on it, see dust fly everywhere. You could take this model.
Yeah, we've had this Predator kit here forever.
1997. It's a classic.
Take that thing. How many tournaments do you do at Gen Con?
So at Gen Con, we hold 2 Warhammer events.
Okay.
We have an Age of Sigmar event and just about everything GW we have an event for. Okay.
So, but it's all primarily GW stuff. Like, you guys don't do anything for War Machine or anything like that.
We don't do War Machine because they're actually running their own thing.
Oh, okay.
So we try not to step on their toes as they don't step on ours.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, but we do also a lot of board games, and we have an RPG group as well that run RPGs. It really turns into a big collaboration because while here in Indy, I'm mainly focused on Warhammer and anything related to Warhammer because it's Indy 40K. Cincinnati Arsenal Gaming is more of just a generic gaming group that just happens to also do Warhammer, and so they pull in a lot of that extra stuff as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Last year, I remember, I think it was Sean and Brittany I was talking to. They said you guys had the 3rd biggest booth as Arsenal had the 3rd biggest booth in all of Gen Con.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
that's very impressive for a gaming group. That's huge.
Yeah, especially at Gen Con. Isn't Gen Con like
Yeah.
the second or
We-
third largest
it's-
event?
It's almost like a mini convention within a convention.
Yeah.
Because we have I think last year we had a crew of 85 people there.
What?
And they're all just volunteer people that were there to game, and we were like, okay, here's the deal, you want to come to Gen Con and run a thing, you want to run a game, you come, you run that game for a day, and then you get, here's a badge, have fun.
Hmm.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I am
Nick
in.
and Brandon helped them last year or whatever too. That they were saying that they did some stuff at Gen Con, I believe.
Yeah, I think we did have them down to help out. I think they were helping us run some kill team stuff.
Yeah. I was there too.
Okay. Yeah, Marcus was there too, I think, wasn't he?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Sweet. Yeah, I would wholeheartedly be in for whenever. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was a good time.
So Eddie, do you guys have like your all of your events that are connected to that circuit that you're doing like listed on your Facebook page then, and then just kind of have them like here's the events throughout the year that you can go to get points for ours as well as ITC, or
Yeah, if you go to the MAG's Facebook page or the Mid American Gaming page, there's a calendar on there, and I think it'll still display all the events. I did have to go through and cancel a bunch of them, so I don't know if they're still displaying or not. But like usually in like November, December, I'll put up the calendar for the next year so we can see when all the next events are, because I have to wait for all the other TOs to figure out when they're running their events, so we can kind of get a master calendar put together.
okay, and do you add events regularly like that? Other people like can they just contact you if they have an event that they're running like a GT or a small group, or do you specifically have your guys' set and then that's what you go with each year and then kind of just add in slowly, or what do you do for that?
We're kind of doing a slow grow process, and the reason being is I put a lot of time and effort into mags and making sure that we stay on the tracks and everything, and we've so we had to come up with a vetting process for events. Just because of some other events that have been ran that kind of didn't show very well. We're like, okay, we don't really want to slap our name on your event if it's going to be that poor
Right.
of quality. Because for some people, if I say it's a MAGS event, they're like, oh yeah, I'm totally going to go to it. And then if they go and it's a crap show, then I feel it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
I
we
can
have
totally
a
get
vetting
that.
process. There's an application that if a TO wants to join the MAG series, they have to fill out. Basically, just it's information like how big is your event, how long is your event, some contact names so we can get to know each other. I do require pictures of tables from your events, just so I can see like the quality of the terrain and stuff, because that's a big deal.
Mhm.
And then and then we put it to a vote. I let the other founding members, we all have a vote in what events we add after we have a little meeting with our contact for that event.
Okay.
Hmm.
That seems like a fairly reasonable process, and that's probably good. I mean, that way you're not going to. My curiosity from my standpoint, since I'm not running events, is if I look at that list, because I know there's like a lot of things here in Michigan where like events get pop up all the time, and you'll go and be like, oh, okay, this should be a pretty decent sized event. You'll show up to like 3 people, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
this is awesome. So it's good that you're vetting them, so that way if you look at that piece, then you can immediately go and go, okay, cool. I know I'm not going to be going to an absolute disaster. Because for me, it's for anything
Yeah.
you guys are probably doing, it's going to be a minimum hour and a half drive. I don't mind driving, but I mind driving and showing up and there's 5 guys.
Yeah. 100%. I feel the same exact way, Dan.
And I've had it happen.
You guys don't love getting a buy on your first round when you go an hour for a game?
Not with half points.
Like Gibbs
Yeah.
last time at that event.
Oh yeah. At Michigan GT, he got a bye.
No, at the we just went to one with Ryan was there and Nick and Brandon.
Yeah.
Guys. It was
It,
fortunately it was in Kalamazoo for him, which is I think not a long drive for Eric. But we get there and it was like 18.
our team was over half of the.
Which is not it wasn't a bad that it was like 18 people, but it ended up being an odd number of people, and he didn't have a ringer, and he wasn't willing to play himself, the guy running the store. So it ended up that Eric got a first round bye. It's like, oh cool, so we're playing a 3-round tournament where he's buying right off the gate. So it's like I felt bad. Luckily I actually, if I had known the guy I was playing better, I would have played Eric on the table behind me with my secondary army. Just so he got the game. Cause I would have been pissed if I got a bye after driving. For me it was an hour and a 45-minute drive in the middle of winter, man. So I would have been.
Oh yeah, I'd have been That would have been fun.
The thing that I usually get hit with is I will sometimes play in some of these events, some of my own events. Like one of the officers will be running it, and I'll play in it just to help fill the field, and I'll end up playing guys from our own club the whole time, and I'm like, really, guys? Did I play somebody that's not in our club?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that being kind of disappointing. Not that it's a bad thing. The game probably makes it that much more friendly and laid back about stuff.
This happened at one of ours, and both me and the guy that were playing, neither one of us were eligible for points, so we were kind of like, okay, we've got like 3 hours to play a game. And we're like, you know what? Neither one of us are a fan of ITC missions. We're just going to throw these to the side and just roll up a book mission and play it.
You might as well. I mean, at that point, when you're not going to win anything, why not? I played some pretty crazy custom missions at Adepticon in the team tournament on Sunday. People are just like, we're not going to win.
Yeah.
Pull the magic 8-ball out. I think
me and Brandon did one of those at the Buckeye last year. We played each other. It might have been either the 3rd round or the 5th round. I couldn't remember which, but we literally put all of our models in the center and then played like kickball style. Like, okay, I pick this. Go ahead, your turn. By unit, and he was playing knights, so of course the first thing's like, I'll take this knight, you take that knight, I take this knight, and then it was like, and so I was playing Dark Eldar, and we both know our rules, really really well, so we were like helping each other, like, oh no, you don't want to shoot that guy, you want to shoot this guy, and he's good, so he had a couple Ravagers and different things like that. It was a great, and it was so tight as a game too. Like we played it like a real game and tried, and man, we barely got I think we won. I think I won by like a point, maybe 2 or something like that. It was a really good game. It was a really good game.
That's funny. Yeah, I played the Tiki Gods at Adepticon, and I think obviously we were a little. Yeah, well, we were obviously a little smashed, but we just took literally the Magic 8-ball phone app. And we were just doing the Magic 8-ball, so he'd nominate. He'd be like, these Oblits are going to shoot Magnus, and I'd be like, consult the Magic 8-ball, and you could only shoot if the Magic 8-ball would allow you to, and like just some crazy stuff. I mean, you're not going to win, screw it. Have some fun.
Yeah, we were team tournament at Adepticon last year. Me and my friends were playing a 4-man, and we got raffle stomped in the first round. So coming in the second round, we were playing some guys who were playing the Space Marines and stuff. We ended up having. At the end, it was obvious me and my buddy were going to beat the other 2 guys, and so he had like 1 squad of Devastators left. So we ran the Dark Reapers from all the way across the board over, and then charged them in. And then it was like 4 Dark Reapers versus 1 Devastator captain, and they ended up finally, like, that poor guy. And they all had 3-up saves, and they all had craptastic weapons. So it was just, we went through 18 rounds, and I took all my witches that obviously would have killed everybody in close combat and surrounded them like a circle of death. So we went through 18 rounds of combat, 3 Dark Reapers versus 1 Devastator captain. The captain finally won after 18 rounds.
That's crazy. I mean, I guess he's strength 4, so, but that's funny.
And then the witches ate him.
Thunderdome.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. It was good stuff. But it's just stuff like that, though. Like, especially when you're in a tournament or whatever, you're getting your butt kicked. You're just there to have fun. And, those are just goofy, fun things to have happen. And those are the things you remember. I don't remember, winning 3 times in some crappy tournament 4 years ago or whatever, so.
my personal favorite for funny things that I've done is I was playing in a doubles event, and me and my partner were both playing Grey Knights, which I don't actually own. I was just using his army, and we were losing so bad that going in, we were like, you know what? We're gonna go into day 2, and we're just gonna make this chart, and this chart just has like it's a D6 chart, and it just says this is how we're gonna play the army. And there was one that's like play as if everything's a drop pod, play as if everything's orcs, play as if you're Imperial Guard, and it was hilarious. Like we rolled up orcs once against the Tau guy, and so the poor Tau guy is like hiding in the corner as like I forget how many Grey Knight Terminators, but I was like, what are you gonna do this turn? I was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna run. I'll just you.
Just run. Yep. Yeah. So do you guys have? I guess what are some of the difficulties in planning this kind of stuff? I mean, I can imagine planning like one tournament, but you're trying to do like a collaboration between multiple other tournament runners or tournament holders or something.
Yeah, so some of the difficulties that we run into is, and we have ways to mitigate with some of that stuff. Sometimes it's price support, where sometimes like a local store is not willing to kick in either enough price support or any price support at all for an event, and we'll start. So those of us that are not even in that local area will start hitting some of our own stores to try to get something, or we'll kick in stuff from our own supply to kind of help pad that. Sometimes we run into terrain issues where somebody's running an event, and last year they were great at like 45. They had enough stuff to do like a 45 man tournament, but this year they're pushing like 50 something, and suddenly they're like, well, I'm a couple tables short on terrain, and I'm like, okay, I got you, man. I'll go to the storage and get a couple tables of terrain mats, and I'll bring them over with me, and we'll move what supplies are needed. We got volunteers in every city, so like if somebody's shorthanded and they need they need a judge or they need a runner or something, we can start calling some of the volunteers and be like, hey, you mind riding up with us for the weekend? You can come room with me and come hang out all weekend and help us run an event. And a lot of them are really
Cool.
I know a guy who makes terrain. No, I do 3D printing stuff. If you ever need terrain or everything like that, I can always help you out. I loan out my stuff all the time to the tournaments that I end up going to. So, but cool. So, do you have anything else you want to add in before we go on to the next topic that obviously you're going to be involved in as well?
So, I can't say Mags is going to come back. We're not going anywhere. I know the break is kind of messing with everybody. We're going to get back into the swing of things, and it's going to be good. I know personally. I'm just going to apologize now. While I am the scorekeeper, I am terrible about updating the leaderboard right now, because we've only got one event up on the leaderboard, but I have 2 event records that I need to put in. And I'm like, yeah, I'll eventually get to it, because I know it's not going to really matter until next year.
Yeah, sounds about right, I should say. Cool.
They're having a bits war in the chat right now. It started off with just a couple of bits, like 2, and then it went to 14, and now it's at 100. So, they're going at it hard.
What?
Great.
So, with that, we're going to go ahead and transition just a little bit, and we definitely would like your opinion here, Eddie. So, what do you guys? We'll go kind of around in a circle here. Start with Ryan, then go Eric, and then go Eddie, and then myself. What are you expecting from Ninth beyond just what they've already kind of said is coming? Like, do you think that? Well, do you think they're? Now, you could be in broad terms as well. So, do you think they're going to change melee? Do you think they're going to, go for more shooting? Do you think they're going to help with the alpha strike thing? What is your opinion on what the major changes that you think are actually coming that we haven't heard about yet from Ninth? Ryan, we'll start with you.
I am looking at a whole lot better melee all around. I mean, right now melee is kind of a dead spot for a lot of armies. You're either really good at it or really bad at it. I mean, Tau versus Orcs. Come on.
Right.
A lot of the stuff I've seen's a lot of changes in some of the, I won't say stagnant armies, but like Tau and Necrons both have been more or less unchanged since 5th edition. Like Necrons, all the stuff they previewed on that is amazing. All the new models look good. I can't wait to see what they do with the line. Tau, I haven't heard a lot of big update stuff. I've heard some whispers here and there of Kroot getting a remix, but that's totally unsubstantiated just from people that I know somebody that knows somebody type deals. But I'm looking forward to it. So other than that, I don't have a lot. I'm just looking forward to hopefully someday Space Wolves being strong again.
Don't keep your hopes up.
Hey, if it's anything like 8th edition, I'll get 3 weeks. I'll get a solid 3 weeks. I'm good with that.
It's 3 weeks of happiness a year. It's like living in Seattle. It's perfect.
Yeah.
I'm expecting that. I have heard a rumor from a very reliable source that D weapons are coming back. That's a total lie. But Eddie's face was like ultra skepticism on that. He's like, D weapons? No.
Yeah, D weapons and freaking Death Stars.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's actually going to become the game again. We're just going to go to D weapons and Death Stars. No, nothing else matters. They're actually going to crush all the other models.
Yeah, they're actually allowing you to take 20 to 30 man units of Thunderwolf cavalry. So there's your 3 weeks. No, I'm pretty excited about the. I heard that I guess that they're bringing back possibly a blast template for certain weapons, or did I misread or mishear something like that?
No, there has been confirmation on blast templates making a return.
Okay.
I don't know in what capacity yet, but they are bringing back some templates.
So like I primarily play Knights now because I'm all about low model armies. I hate having to carry like a giant case of whatever, and they're competitive, but yet you can still have fun. So I'm excited that a battle cannon might be a large blast again, but then I'm also super unexcited that I can't pummel Magnus in the face with a battle cannon. So I don't know. I think it would be really cool. I think that it would make sense that you could, so if it does change to say a large blast template, you can opt for the blast template or like D6 shots if you're going to shoot at a single model or something like that. That would make some sense to me.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
Of course.
Vehicles being able to shoot when they're in combat again. Big fan. Can't wait.
Yep, I'm super stoked.
It'll be amazing.
Yeah. So I'm most stoked about blast templates, but also I think just like you said, vehicles being able to shoot in combat. Was it a year and a half ago? Kelsey Haley had that Shadow Sword list or something like that. Where it was like 3 Shadow Swords and like the Trojan support vehicles viable again.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dan?
Sorry, I'm still watching the Bits War happen.
What are
it's gotten out of
bits?
control. It's gotten out of control. So basically, you can like cheer with like bits. It's kind of like donating money, but like you're giving like so you buy little bits in the chat thing, and then you can cheer with them. So you can buy like hundreds of bits, and then like a couple bucks for a couple hundred of them or whatever. So now Brandon's just taking the lead by throwing down his 499 bits.
I feel like a stripper.
Right?
Is this what it feels like? Wow.
Yeah, if you take off your clothes and start rubbing your nipples, it's going to be thousands of bits.
Bits are what I actually subside on, so it's kind of a good thing.
All right. So Eddie, what about you? What do you think?
So I play a little bit of everything, but I've got a lot of high hopes for ninth. I haven't really heard anything that I don't like. I definitely think there's got to be some growing pains, and definitely in the list construction area, because we're going to change how detachments are done and how the command points are structured. And I really liked from the live Q&A that GW did here recently, how they actually went through and were like, okay, this is how we see command points. And I'm like, it was such a great analogy that I'm like, yeah, I honestly think that's how everybody should view command points. And I don't know, did you guys get a chance to watch the Q&A? Maybe you caught that?
Yeah, so
I did not.
So from my understanding, what they said was you're gonna have like your base army, and say for instance I'm playing Dark Eldar, I'll have X amount of command points for playing Dark Eldar straight up, and then if I want to add in a contingent of Eldar, I've got to requisition them with command points, and then therefore pay some command points to bring in that separate army. So so rather than Soup's still going to be there, but it's going to cost you now, which I am a huge fan of because I'm not a huge Soup fan to begin with. I really like the mono armies, and I want to see more mono armies, and I like the idea that Soup still exists, but it has a cost now. And I always felt like it should have had like either a point cost or something along those lines to have a separate detachment. I think they did a good job by changing it up and making it so that the command points is the way to go about it. So let's say they give us a base 20 command points, and it costs you 5 to bring in a detachment of Harlequins as Dark Eldar. That to me makes sense. You're bringing in something, you're paying a cost to make yourself technically more powerful, because the idea would be I'm using the best of this codex plus the best of this codex mixed together to make this ultra thing. At the very least, I should have to pay something to do that. And the big problem we've seen in 8th is that it's just a soup fest, right? So like you can do that all day long with a lot of, especially the benefit has been for Imperium, as Imperium has 20 different codexes you can throw down, and they all have the keyword they can match with. Whereas Eldar hasn't been so bad, but I feel bad for like Necrons and Tau, and they don't have anybody they can hang out with. And it's an extra benefit for those places or those races and those codexes, because then they can stick with their regular stuff, and there you go. So I don't know.
So that's that's the big one that I'm really looking forward to, because I actually run, like when I'm building my list, I usually average about 8-9 command points, and what I'm hearing is it's gonna be allegedly somewhere in the teens now, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome! I'm gonna have more command points than I ever knew what to do with.
Yeah.
So,
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, Eric, they've thrown bits now to keep your shirt on, so you're not gonna get the stripper thing. I'm sorry.
I saw 1,500.
Yeah,
but
he literally dropped the hammer to keep your shirt on.
Yeah. Boys, none of this.
Yeah, don't get any now. You don't get any.
The other thing that I've heard a lot of, and I think this is something more for your more of your casual players, is the Crusade mode or Crusade format.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that. So Nick and I actually, just very briefly, we want to try and organize a Team Bad Decisions Crusade, like across the whole team, which obviously I don't know how we would incorporate other people or whatnot, but I think that would be cool because with the Crusade, you can just like keep playing, and it basically
Well,
like your character gain perks.
Yes, they explain that in the stream as well. That basically with a Crusade, it's just you're playing, right? So like
Mhm.
any playing period, regardless whether it's you're with the people specifically in that Crusade or not, adds to the Crusade. Wins, losses, ties, whatever, all add to the Crusade. So it was a neat concept. I'd like to see how they flesh it out, but in theory, it would be very easy for us to do it with the team bad decisions things because we'd just be playing whoever we can play from the team, whether it's on tabletop simulator or whatever, and then or real life, etc. If you're one of the people who lives by the other people, and then whenever we play or we go to tournaments and play separate games, etc., and then it adds to that. So I think that would be a neat thing. Make like a cool trophy, like a team bad decisions trophy at the end of the little season. I think it'd be neat. So.
Yeah, I would like that.
I'm hoping it's similar to how the Blood Bowl system works. Their leagues.
Yeah, how does that work? I have no idea.
Yeah, I have no idea of it.
Yeah, so with Blood Bowl, you start off with a team that has a value of 1 million gold, which includes all your players that you bought and any special add-ons that you bought, like extra rerolls, cheerleaders, apothecaries. But then as you play, you earn gold, you earn experience points, and you gain. You can buy stuff, which then changes your team value. It adds. You basically become like 1 million plus something. And then what you would do at the beginning of the game is you would compare your team value versus your opponent's team value, and depending on how big that difference is, one person may get extra money that they can buy basically temporary buffs. Like you can buy an extra reroll for that game or an extra apothecary for that game.
That sounds amazing, actually. How have I never played this game before?
It sounds a lot of fun, man. I mean, it's brutal here in Indy. I mean, there is no friendship in Blood Bowl.
It sounds like Unreal Tournament 2004, where you could like buy teammates and then you had to like pay them to like play your matches on your team or whatnot. That sounds awesome.
And we've been so we run an escalation league here about once a year, and I usually experiment by throwing in some of the little nuanced stuff that nobody really wants to use for like tournaments and stuff. So our last one actually used custom characters, and it was like, okay, every time you win, you gain a roll off of the custom character table that's in the chapter approved. I think it was 2018. But if your character dies, he loses everything. He's gone. You gotta start.
Okay.
And cool. It was good. A lot of people loved it, and I honestly think that might be kind of the basis for the Crusade stuff is some of this extra content that was put into chapter approved for custom characters or specialized units that it didn't really have any structure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Be interesting. They'll definitely come out with some fun stuff. They usually do. So whether or not it's balanced and actually good, we'll see.
I'm sure it'll be.
I don't think you'll see any tournaments use it. They'll nix that right out the gate.
Yeah.
Oh,
although
come
it would be cool. It would be cool to see ITC step in and say, "Hey, we're going to do an ITC themed tournament with it, and it runs year round." That would be a really cool thing. And it's separate from like the other primary tournaments they do, or the primary tournament, I should say.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, could be interesting for sure.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about the new book? What is it? War Engine or something like that coming out? The new book, Psychic Awakening.
I
haven't looked at it.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to look at it.
I mean, it's not anything to do with me, so I don't care.
Well, Eddie looks like he has something to say on it. What do you got?
So sadly, I sold my Skitarii army about a year ago.
And now you want it back?
Kind of yes, kind of no. Because it literally was nothing but Skitarii like foot soldiers and Doom Crawlers and the Dragoons. It was not very flavorful. And now I'm looking at the current range. I'm like, okay, I finally have transports, I have tanks, I have a little more character selection.
You
So
gonna have
I'm
flyers?
Say that again.
You gonna have flyers?
I don't know. I might have to replace those wings.
Yeah, it's like they're
Yeah.
straight out of like Da Vinci's Notebook or something.
Yeah, there was a meme today that was like, oh look, the new Eldar, because they basically replace like they have match everything they do with the exact same things. Like their flyer guys are basically swooping hawks that are better than swooping hawks, and then their flyers have the same movements and all that stuff as all of the Eldar ones. It was just funny. Just matching stat for stat wise, obviously they're drastically different as far as visuals.
Yeah.
Something I think that not necessarily Imperium focused, but Chaos is going to get a nice healthy bump to it with that book.
Yeah, I got particularly excited that you can do. I know you can do like a Bloodthirster as like an Exalted Bloodthirster now, and then a Lord of Change as an Exalted, and they get to like roll on a table.
Yep. So I actually I saw some leaked pictures last night of the book, and I was looking at some of the demon stuff, and specifically I play a Khorne army, so I was like, oh, let's look at all the Khorne stuff. And I saw the Exalted Bloodthirster and the table, and I'm like, the table's pretty nice, and you can spend one command point and just pick one off the table, or you can spend one command point and roll 2d6 and get both.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm rolling every day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Roll this thing.
Gamble. Unless, do you know off the top of your head what the Bloodthirster chart was? Was there anything that really stood out to you, I guess?
So there was one that was like, okay, the Bloodthirster now just has a 2-up armor save.
Oh shit!
Yeah, there was that one. There was another one that allowed the Bloodthirster to like regain wounds as he kills things, but he can only gain 8 wounds a turn.
Oh, only
Only 8, yeah.
only.
Yeah, I did see that. thing,
Primaris
it
with a
looked
chainsword ain't gonna cover that.
Yeah.
And then
hilarious.
there was one that was like, it was a buff to the Unstoppable Ferocity one, where it was like, basically Unstoppable Ferocity times 2.
Mhm.
Oh wow!
Interesting. So I saw. Oh, go ahead, Eddie.
Oh, I was gonna say, and it's only 1 CP. Like it is dirt cheap.
That's crazy. That is crazy. I saw the Tzeentch one with the Lord of Change, and they've been, I don't want to say hot garbage, but they've been hot garbage for a while, and but they got the ability now to steal a spell, and then you can't ever cast it again if they deny it. Which that's gonna really.
You don't even have to. From the way I read it, was you don't even have to preemptively say you're doing that and spend the CP. It's just, did you deny this spell? Cool, you can pay the CP and bam, you don't get to use that spell anymore ever again.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
it's
wow.
from the chart. Like the Bloodthirster has a chart, the Exalted Lord of Change has a chart, and it's one of the powers it can take. So it says when this model successfully denies a psychic power, the psyker unit that attempted to manifest that power loses it and cannot attempt to manifest it again this battle.
Oh hey, Grey Knight Strike Squad. Bye, Smite.
Yeah, and that messes up Eldar. That messes up Grey Knights. That's brutal.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty brutal. I mean, it messes up a lot of things, man. That stupid nullification bubble that Space Marine's getting now too with the librarians.
Yep.
Yeah.
Messes that up. I mean, it's very strong. It's definitely very strong. I don't know. The bigger problem is keeping your Lord of Change alive long enough to do it.
Yeah.
Because as soon as people see it, now they're gonna go, haha, bye bye.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yep.
So
I think that it would be really good with because Lord of Change is +2 to cast and deny. I think so. Like your just odds are amazing for getting that deny. Even if you get one deny, as long as it's that clutch deny, it might be worth the points. Like an Eldar have what is it, Doom, where you can reroll all wounds or something like that. Might be worth the points to get rid of that.
Yeah.
And then nobody cares about Nurgle and Slaanesh.
right.
I saw a really good stratagem for Khorne in there as well. It was the one for the Flesh Hounds.
The Scent of Blood.
Yep.
Yeah, so it says Use this stratagem in your charge phase. Select one Fleshhounds unit from your army. That unit can be chosen to charge with this phase, even if it advanced. So advance to charge, and you add 2 to the charge roll if something has been destroyed this turn.
Yeah, they're definitely giving some decent boost to all of them. I think even Nurgle ones. I know you're not super interested, but I remember briefly reading them, and they look pretty solid as well. So they're definitely hitting them all and giving them at least a boost, which they kind of needed. I mean, they really weren't doing. They weren't bottom of the barrel, but they weren't great either.
Yeah.
For Fleshhounds, I mean, for my corn army, it's usually what I have out front running in front of everything. And now that they have a buff that allows them to advance and charge, I'm like, yeah, that means that, I'm going to clear that 18 to 24 inch gap in a single turn, and you're going to be dealing with 10 Fleshhounds right out the gate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's brutal. That's very brutal. The Nurgle one has something I didn't even know about this unit. A Plague Bearer Cavalry. Anytime a model dies from the Plague Bearer Cavalry, anything within D6 inches on a 2+ suffers a mortal wound.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I think that includes the Plague Toads and the Plague Drones. I think they both have that keyword.
Okay. Is there a cheap unit that you can spam for Nurgle that has the Plague Bearer Cavalry keyword?
Probably not. Cavalry's expensive.
The
The
Toads?
drones aren't overly expensive though. They're not terrible.
Yeah, they're about, I can't remember, aren't they 35, 40 points apiece?
Yeah, but they have a crap load of wounds. And,
Really?
and they get the Nurgle toughness and all that fun stuff. So they're not that expensive for what they do and what they have, and then adding that extra boost on them just going to make them even more valuable. So I don't know. I remember them being at least decently priced. I don't remember them being overly so.
Okay, yeah, because I mean the Thunderwolf Cavalry are the same price, and I mean I'd take Thunderwolf Cav against Plague Drones any day of the week.
Sure.
Man.
I'm not saying I'd do well, but it'd be a straight up fight.
Right.
They both smell about the same.
Right.
Yeah, not gonna deny it.
Yeah,
Smell
that's-
like every bad 40K tournament used to.
Oh yeah.
Used to
All right.
before the invention of Vax.
So, kind of winding down a little bit. Does anybody else have anything they want to talk about or add to this stuff? I know we have gone over Eddie stuff. We've gone over some 9th edition stuff, and what have we done for hobby stuff. I don't have a whole lot left. Does anybody else?
I do have one thing, and it might be hitting below the belt here.
Sure.
What is up with the new 40K logo? I mean, I'm
what's funny,
sorry. It's such a I'm horrible with every drawing program I've ever used, and I could not make the small bungles that were made there by someone who has done this probably career.
Who I haven't seen this. Where are you seeing this at, or where can I see this at?
I can.
The
I'll
new-
put it up on the stream, but,
Yeah.
Okay, good. I was gonna say I need to see
Throw it
this
on.
thing.
Yeah, but
I mean,
thing is,
it's
actually
knit.
like Nick posted it like the same like R being off slightly and the A being off slightly that I think you're talking about there.
Yeah.
It's on the old
I mean,
one too.
It's been on every edition, but this one, it's big, shiny, new. Ta-da! Why is the R overhanging? Why is the A off center?
And
I mean,
think
it's absolutely nitpicky.
it is.
Anything, and I know it
It's
drives
not your logo.
one of my teammates further up the wall than anyone.
I think you're just bringing it up just to poke at Josh.
A little bit, yeah.
All right, it's up on the thing there, so you can see it here
Let's
as
see
soon
this.
as it catches up to itself on the stream.
So
Yeah.
I've got the old logo in front of me, and just as a comparison, while the R is not hanging off, the A is also not centered.
Yes. Yep. I acknowledge that, and I'm okay with
I
it.
think the R is hanging off though on the old one, isn't it? Because like I'm pretty sure Nick posted in the Bad Decisions Discord to yeah. So here I'm gonna get the image now.
Here, let
Yes,
me
it is.
reel back here. Second edition.
Look at that,
The
perfect.
R
perfect
is
symmetry.
not hanging off, and the A is off center. I can live with the A off center, but look at that R. It's inside the line. Come on, not hard to do.
I think that's part of the problem is the new logo has a line that's right there, and you see where it's cut off, and your eyes drawn to it, and you're like,
Yep. Yeah.
what's wrong with that?
There we go.
Oh, they
I
would've
put up
had-
the second one too, and now we'll compare the two.
There we go.
I'll have a nice little comparison once and for all here. Let's see. Move that over there like that. Make it a little bigger.
The first thing that gets fixed in 9th edition, the logo.
Yeah.
But again, though, so like,
Errata.
if you look at the 8th logo, I mean, it's still the R is slightly over the edge of the thing. I mean, it's not as blatant because that doesn't have that line, that blue line.
Yeah,
going
it
through
doesn't
there.
have the hard
It doesn't
line
have
right
the
there.
hard line, basically telling you that hey, this is off.
Hey, look what we screwed up.
Right.
Even
But I
the
You
even the
can't-
zero is off.
Yeah.
40,000.
Yep.
I mean, it's not a great design overall. It's kind of garbage.
But I mean, you can't tell me an editor somewhere over in Britain land didn't just say, "Hey, can we fix that little spot?"
I mean, I don't disagree with you. However, it
That-
is what it is. You know, that's what they've gone with. So I don't know.
Yep. Like I said, it was nitpicky and tiny,
Well, they
but
could have said that. I mean, I think what they were trying to do is they were trying to center that A underneath the double eagle, and then you're trying to keep your correct spacing on all your letters and everything. And while you obviously could push it to the left a little bit because the W in the upper left hand corner obviously matches that corner of the bottom
Yep.
of the thing. So I think that's what they're trying to do. What they really should have just done was just shrink the Warhammer overall letters a little tiny bit.
narrowed the M's
Yeah,
or
sure. Well, you don't even need to narrow the M's. Just take it and shrink it slightly.
yeah. Well, and
And-
then the strike through.
The strike through is stupid. I hate the strike through.
Eddie, does Mags have a logo?
We do.
Can we let's look at what some professionals have made with the Mags logo versus
Find the
this
Magnolia,
bad
so
boy.
please, by all means, let me know where it is.
It
Here
should be on our
I-
Facebook page.
I
Here, Mags Championship. I just found it. Okay, here I'm gonna send it to you, Dan.
All right.
Oh, we got we have the ITC as well. Okay, so let's look at some crowd.
You sent it in Discord or
Yeah, I just sent it to you in Discord right there.
Okay.
Scroll down, you can see it.
Yeah, I got it.
The second image is the Mags Championship. It's like the one with the Emperor Titan or whatever, and then the it's Indianapolis in the background. Okay, so
Yeah, that's artwork that we had done by Kurt Metz.
see, and if you'll notice, once Dan gets it up, symmetry, perfect.
Yeah, Kurt does a good job. He did a lot of the artwork for the Istvan Drop Pod live stream guys. He did a lot of their logos, and then we asked him to commission ours as well.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I like it. It's easy, simple, and symmetric.
And it only cost me a single box of Scarab Terminators.
Oh, jeez. I think I got one. We ought to have him commission some more logos.
Yeah, I bet for he could work for pennies on the dollar for GW and fix that bad boy. It'd be
Yeah.
great.
Imagine what he could get for a starter box.
He does all of our posters too. Like we do promotional posters for our events, and we hand them out to the players. And so we usually have him do up posters for us, and then he's like, okay. And I'm like, what do you want? And I was like, do you want cash or do you want models? And he's like, models, please.
A true 40K player.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come at me with your BS. Cash.
What is
Nobody want that
that?
garbage.
Imperial script or models.
Yeah, that's it. That's funny. That is funny. I'm so glad you guys brought this up. I did not notice or pay attention to this
I
at
just like
all.
how Nick took the time to put the little red line, the little red circle
Yeah,
there, to
yeah.
just show Eric, or not Eric, Josh.
Josh.
Yeah, that like the old one was just like this. Like nothing has changed for you. Your life is no different. Shame.
Oh God. Oh, that's great. That's great. I feel like they could. You guys remember the original Chad Ochocinco football player video where he's like apologizing for things because he always get penalties. And one of the things he's like, "I'm sorry for Windows 8. It wasn't the operating system I wanted it to be." He says it in like some video or whatever. I feel like he should now chalk this up on his list and be like, "I'm sorry for the Warhammer 40K 9th edition logo. It wasn't the logo I thought it was going to be."
Right.
All right, you guys got anything else?
I just want to say thanks for having me on, guys. I greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We
you
had a good
you
time.
want to give another shout out to Mags and CAG?
Yeah, give us a quick just rundown again on the information you started the stream, because we've got a lot more people in the stream since
Okay.
since the beginning. We started with 1 and we're at 9 at the moment, and I think we were up to 11. So I just want to give a quick another rundown. It's kind of
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I'm the co-founder of MAGS, which is the Mid American Gaming Series. We're a regional tournament that is Indiana and the surrounding states. We have events in Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Ohio, Toledo, Ohio, down to Louisville, Kentucky, and it's a tournament circuit that runs from the beginning of the year to about August, where we have our grand finals at Gen Con.
Cool.
All right,
Cool,
good stuff. So yeah, I just want to thank everybody for coming out and watching, and thank you for the bits war that went on there. We appreciate all the support and everything, and we'll leave these logos up here for next time so that whoever has to deal with this has to deal with that and just be shamefully moving the logos around.
Yeah.
That's documented as well that the
Right,
symmetry is
well documented. Yes. But yeah, thanks everybody for coming out. We are Team Bad Decisions. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, all that fun stuff. We'll be at all kinds of tournaments. Come have a drink with us, and yeah, all that. So have a good one, and we will see you next time, which I believe is going to be competitive hour Monday, and then yeah, I think we have one Monday, Wednesday, or not Wednesday, Friday and Saturday coming this week. So we will see you then. Thanks. We'll see you around.
cool.
Adios.
Sweet. Well, now I'm pretty stoked that I know everything about Max. I didn't know squat about it.